welcome to the 2024 NGLCC Black History Month program, presented by the NGLCC Communities of Color Initiative, celebrating LGBTQ+ African Americans, entrepreneurship, and the arts. NGLCC Communities of Color Initiative was created to support the growth and success of minority LGBTQ+ owned businesses by bringing together entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, and community members from a range of industries to work together, share best practices, and secure equal opportunities for economic advancement and empowerment. Through programs like today's event, we work to create a platform to highlight some of the brightest and most influential minority-owned LGBTBEs who work in the arts and entertainment industries. Of course, initiatives like this are possible only through the dedicated support of our corporate partners. Specifically, I'd like to thank Rose Hatcher, Director of Supplier Diversity at Paramount, and Lance Dorsey, Director of Global Responsible Sourcing at Sony, for joining the conversation today, as well as for their unyielding commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and supporting LGBTQ+ owned businesses to reach their greatest potential. I would also like to say a very special thank you to our affiliate chambers across the country that have teamed up with NGLCC to share today's program. Team NGLCC is grateful for this opportunity to celebrate Black History Month with all of you today and the chance to recognize the impact LGBTQ+ African Americans have on the arts and culture. We hope you enjoy the program, and happy Black History Month.
From all of us at the Greater Houston LGBTQ+ Chamber of Commerce, happy Black History Month.
For the month of February, the Los Angeles LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce honors the contributions and sacrifices of African Americans who have helped shape our nation.
From all of us at the Independent Business Alliance, Philadelphia's LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, happy Black History Month.
Hi, my name is Ja Allen, and my pronouns are she, her. I run a digital marketing agency right here in Houston, Texas called Endless 8 Marketing, and we specialize in market research, website design, and digital marketing training. But what makes us unique is that digital marketing training. So we understand that most business owners are not tech savvy as a digital marketer, and quite frankly, they don't want to be, which is all good. So what we do is we look at your goals and we figure out what are the strategies and tools that you need to be using within your business to take things to the next level. So we're not going to teach you all these different tips, tricks, and hacks that you may or may not use. We're going to look at the particular things that we know you will need to know within your business, and we're going to teach you that in a group setting, a team setting, or we do one-on-one. It's really up to you. So again, my name is Ja Allen. I'm right here in Houston, Texas, Endless 8 Marketing. We can help business owners nationwide.
Zdravo! My name is Alexander Bryan and I go by he, him. I'm the creative director and founder of Hyphenation Studios. We are a creative solutions agency. We create high quality deliverables at lightning speed and cost-effective budgets. We also develop the solutions to help all of it work together. Our work includes everything from websites to magazines, signs to email campaigns, maps to apps, and more. As a designer, visuals are an integral part of my work. I get a lot of inspiration from the arts. The secret sauce that recharges my creative energy and breathes new life into my projects is the diversity found in the arts. Seeing flamenco in Barcelona and New York are not only visually different, but are also unique experiences. How people engage with the entertainment and the environment provides me with unique perspectives I use in my work. Not only in design, but in the functional part of how something like a website works. I believe that the arts help us all connect with that inner part of ourselves that celebrates life and provides connection, even when we don't speak the same language.
Hi, my name is Dustin Haywood, and I am the CEO and president of the Haywood Group, also known as THG Health. We provide different services in the healthcare sector, from different contract agreements to also a patient care service in which we provide patient care through clinical staff in the home care setting. What makes our organization so unique is our story. See, I started working in corporate America. I worked in the same landscape in the healthcare industry and a healthcare system as a chief operating officer. We were acquired by $1 billion health system in which I was retained to be the vice president of integration. And throughout my close to a decade journey of working in that sector, every day I always had the thought of, I would love to one day do this for myself, because I felt like I could do it better. I knew I could do it different, and I knew that the heart behind the why is what I would show up for every single day for myself, as that's what I was showing up for every day when I was working in the corporate world. An art that comes to mind that makes our organization so unique is poetry. And why I think poetry is because poetry is like a storytelling. And I've always been able to connect to my patient demographic by understanding their story, by understanding their history and connecting that to where they are in life. And then through a medical care plan, being able to bridge what they need as they continue to navigate their continuity of care with where the reality of where their life sits. Black History Month, man, what a great month. It's so important, and I think for two reasons. The first is it reminds us of where we come from. You know, history is the best indicator for the future. The beautiful thing is the future can be rewritten if the conversation can continue. And that takes me to my second thought, which is where we're going. With remembering where we've come from, it gives us the platform to have continued conversations about where we're going and also make sure that we're creating equitable platforms to make sure that any injustice from yesterday reduces itself in the future because of the conversation, laws, equality, and justice that helps make sure that bridge is being closed and that history does not repeat itself because we truly are looking out for the equality of all. NGLCC, we are thankful to be a certified organization, and we're grateful to have this platform to share our story.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Black History Month. We are glad that you are able to join NGLCC's Communities of Color Initiative for Black History Month event, celebrating LGBTQ plus African Americans, entrepreneurships, and the arts. My name is Olivia Jesme. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Vice President of Supply Diversity Initiative at NGLCC. During this program, you will hear from entrepreneurs and stakeholders highlighting inclusion, fostering representation, and creating a supportive business environment for the LGBTQ plus professionals. We are excited to present to you an esteemed group of African American LGBTQ plus business owners who will share the significance of networking, building relationships, and the benefits of investing in certification. If you have any questions for the panelists or moderators, please use the Q&A option at the bottom of the screen, and they will answer as many questions as they're allowed to. Lance, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Olivia. Hi, everyone. I'm Lance Dorsey, the Director of Global Responsible Sourcing at Sony Pictures Entertainment and your moderator for today's panel. I'm very happy to be here and celebrate Black History Month with the NGLCC through their Communities of Color initiative. So let's meet our panelists. If the panelists could please come on camera, and we'll start with Emmanuel Wambach. If you could introduce yourself, please.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Emmanuel Wambach. My pronouns are she, her. I am a business owner from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I own and I'm the artist at Emmanuel Ceramics, LLC. I create decorative but functional ceramics. I really want my pieces to be used. And what's unique about me is that I use lace and fabric that has a story. So I'm taking a story that would normally fade and fall apart, and I'm putting it into something more permanent that then can become an heirloom and can be used to make new memories. So my business is a lot about the craft, but also about the story behind the pieces I use.
Thank you so much for joining us, Emmanuel. Next, Ty Collier. Ty, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ty Collier, and I am the proud owner of Queerencia and Pride Promo, where we focus on storytelling through product. For the Queerencia brand, we focus on queer history and culture and making that more accessible. And for Pride Promo, we work with corporations for their brand solutions, creating custom apparel and accessories to make sure that they are influencing community empowerment through physical product. We're so excited to be here today and to celebrate Black History Month with all of you.
Thank you so much, Ty. Next, Roy Broderick, Jr. Roy, could you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So greetings and good afternoon and happy Black History Month to all. My name is Roy Broderick Jr. I use he and him pronouns, and I am the founder and CEO of Authentique, which is an integrated marketing agency that's been blessed to work not only in the entertainment sector, the financial sector, but a lot of different brands when reaching multicultural and intersectional audiences. I have been a certified LGBTE for about 6 years. So I'm always glad to help and do things like this and glad to see some familiar faces.
Awesome. Thank you, Roy. And last but certainly not least, Meek Evans, please introduce yourself.
Greetings and good afternoon and happy Black History Month to everyone. My name is Miko Evans. I'm the founder and executive producer of Meek Productions Incorporated. That's MEAK as in kite. We are the world's first LGBTQ exclusive talent agency and production company, and we're now still in the midst of our 20th conceptual anniversary. And we're also celebrating our 15th anniversary season with our podcast talk show. So just happy to be a part and can't wait to get started. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you all, panelists, for joining us. We're also joined by Rose Hatcher. Rose is the Director of Supplier Diversity for Paramount. She'll be moderating the chat box. So if there's a question that you'd like to ask the panelists, please drop it into the box. And if time permits, we'll ask them at the end of the panel session. With that said, let's get started. And we'll start with you, Emmanuel. As a newly certified business owner, what made you seek LGBTE certification?
Well, for me, I really wanted more chances to network. I wanted to find others like me, small businesses, LGBTQ businesses, other Black businesses. And I've been really lucky in Pittsburgh. There's a really wonderful network, but I really wanted to expand outside of my region. And really, being a very, very small business, it's really hard to get information. And the School of YouTube and Google can only do so much. And so I knew that like joining a group and getting certified and being able to be recognized by larger companies, to get bigger orders, to really just sort of upgrade my business, I would have to do something like get certified, because you can't do everything on your own, even though it feels like sometimes I'm doing everything on my own. It was really just a way for me to get more reach, more networking, more information, and just meet other people like me who are going through similar things.
That's awesome. And then visiting your website, I learned something very unique about you, Emmanuel, and that is that you completed a residency in Japan. What was that like
Yes.
as someone who identifies as a Black queer woman of in your particular industry?
Yes. So the residency in Japan was amazing. It was in a place called Shigaraki, which is about an hour away from Osaka. And it is traditionally a ceramic center. Like it is like this amazing place you can go. And my queer identity didn't come out very much there. Like people didn't really ask, but it was very interesting being like one of the only people that was not Japanese. But everybody was incredibly kind. And I think everybody was incredibly kind really because I was doing an art form that a lot of people think young people in Japan are sort of putting aside. Japan is very tech forward. It's very, very computer. And so doing something with my hands was seen as something of really high quality. It was seen as something to be given respect for. So even though like I was completely out of my element in terms of my identity, in terms of the language, everybody there wanted to teach me and wanted me to learn more because they want to keep that part of their culture going, even if it means going outside their culture to do that. And I think that's sort of something we can learn from. Like if you're willing to share your information, share what you have learned, you can really make what you love grow. But it was a wonderful experience. I made so many pieces. It's actually where I started looking into fabrics and lace more than I had before, because their focus on ceramics and focus on fabrics is so intense there. It's literally like one of their cherished art forms. So it was really just a way for me to sort of combine my love of fabrics and ceramics into one. Like I hadn't really thought much about it before then. Yeah.
I love that because despite those many intersectionalities, there was that commonality of that shared practice, right, of the art
Hmm.
form that linked you together, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Ty, I'll switch over to you. So you said during your introduction that you're a brand lifestyle company. How do you ensure that your clients' branded products reflect their company's identity while being inclusive?
Absolutely. So I think really it's about intention and making sure that you're showing up for the community in ways that they need, and not just to check a box. And so I think right now our trans and non-binary community really need our support. And so I am advising the corporations that we work with to really be forward thinking about what the whole community needs and making sure that trickles down all the way to the products that they are providing internally and externally. So when we show up to prides, when we show up to community events, we're making sure that we're taking care of the community and also advocating for them in a way that they need.
I love that. Ty, on your website, you have a remarkable story. And the part that really resonated with me is that you said you spoke about moving away from your home and finding your people. Can you briefly speak about that journey and any advice that you would give to someone who may be on the call seeking their people?
Absolutely. So, the environment that I grew up in was extremely religious and predominantly white, and I didn't see role models or individuals that look like me. And so I was able to go away to school, remove myself from an environment that I didn't feel represented and supported in. And that's when I met all of my people. I met some of my best friends, and a community that I felt loved and supported by. And that gave me the space and opportunity to flourish as not only an LGBTQ entrepreneur, but also a Black entrepreneur. And I think it's just been a huge opportunity to grow in a different space, and to have the support and your just building your family and your people.
I love that. I think it was is RuPaul that says family is who you're born into, but family is also the people you choose. I'm very much paraphrasing. Someone's gonna Google that and be like, he got that completely wrong. But this spirit of it is there, and Ty, I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much. Let's switch over to Roy. Roy, how do you ensure the work that you do as a marketing agency promotes but also educates the masses about Black queer identity?
Absolutely. So I think for us as authentic, our name has the word authentic in it. And so I always say, like, we connect our clients to what's real. And so we're not afraid to say, you don't know, or hey, you have unconscious bias that's showing itself, or hey, you've done some great things and but you got to do more than a pride march. You got to do more than, having a Black History Month panel, like what else can be done? How are you really speaking? We like to always tell them to look at a inside out approach. So if the culture inside of the organization can be inclusive and be clean and feel welcoming and employees can see themselves in it, then your outward piece is going to do the same. So your customers are going to gravitate towards you. They're going to feel like they are involved, and they're going to feel like you want more than just their money. So that's one way. We constantly, I sometimes feel like a therapist, but I sometimes also feel like a school teacher, because I really want to make sure that brands and our partners are not only putting their money where their mouth is, but they're actually living in it every day. That's the only way that we build equity. And that's the only way that we really push the needle at these large organizations, because all of that affects us in one way or another.
I love that. I would say everyone on this call is a bit of a trailblazer, but I mean, you've been publicly recognized as 40 under 40, and exceptional at what you do. I wonder if you could speak to how you've used your personal brand and influence to create change for others.
I would definitely say I think it's first about being consistent. So I never looked at how do I build Roy's brand outside of the company's brand. I was all about driving people to authentic, to my business first. I wanted people to know our work, our greatness, our expertise. And then I just kind of was the cherry on top that I happened to own the place. I wouldn't even really lead with that I'm the founder. I make a joke every time we do events that I tell people like, I'm the intern, I'm the intern, I'm the intern. Because I always never want people to just think, oh, it's the founder, it's the president, like, you know. So I've done that, and that's been very successful. So that as I look to continue to grow, there's trust in the brand of the company and not just Roy, and that helps me scale. So when you think about, you know, growing a business, that's the biggest thing. Can others do what you do? Can they have the magic sauce that you have? And then is it consistent? Sometimes, you know, the brands do kind of battle where Roy might have something to say versus the company, and we make sure we draw the line when we are making those declarative statements. But other than that, it's authentic and nothing else. So that's
I
how we do.
love that. Thank you so much. And I think there's a huge message there in leadership in that you're not leading by title, right? Which makes you more accessible, and I think also helps kind of clear space for people to be invited in. So thanks for sharing that. Miko, again, last but certainly not least, I understand that you have been an artist your entire life. What did your art practice mean to you growing up, and how did you move from your artistic practice into the talent agency space?
That's a wonderful question. Art has been my life, not just growing up here in the Confederate South, but also, um, just growing up in the church and getting that music bug from not just hearing the radio, but also seeing the different performances that I used to see at church. So that was one of the ways that I knew that I could express myself, even though that I was, grew up during a time where our sexuality was not accepted publicly, and so that was like the beginning way for me to start expressing myself through my art, through being a singer songwriter producer, and doing some things on that end. And then when it came to um evolving it as a business and deciding to actually do this talent agency, what inspired me was when I heard about this was actually during the late 90s, early part of the millennium, when I heard that there was word in the industry that a new LGBTQ channel was coming, new outlets was coming and stuff like that, like, Logo TV, Here TV, and some
Mhm.
others, because there was supposed to have been a total of, I think, about 6 queer networks, but only 2 lasted. I
Wow.
think the Q Television Network briefly started and then they ended. And then the only ones that lasted, of course, was Logo TV and then Here TV. So, and stuff. So when I heard about that, and I was actually participating at Atlanta Black Pride celebration in 2003, and my high school classmate, who's female at the time before she became trans, um, she wanted me to share booth space with her, and I said, yeah. I said I would love to, because I have some things I want to share with the LGBTQ plus community anyway. And as I was coming from the store, it's like the divine revealed to me, why not create a talent agency and production company that's exclusive to our community? And I almost fell to the ground. I couldn't wait to get in the house fast enough to start typing the ideas down and stuff, because one of the things that I noticed at the time is that the industry had a lot of heterosexual actors and actresses playing gay roles. And I'm like, that could have been a job opportunity or performance opportunity for somebody in the community. And so, and then I also thought about hearing the news of the queer networks that was coming. I was like, okay, who's going to represent them? Who's going to look after their interests? What about the ones that's already in the industry that feel like they still got to be closeted? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to stand and fight for their rights? So that was the whole idea. That's how I end up transitioning. Me just being a talent myself, that, okay, what can I do for other queer talent? How can I make my contribution to the community? I
And
hope
Mika, I
I
don't know
answered
if
the
you can
question.
see the chat popping up, but there are lots of people, your comments are resonating with them, seeing lots of hand claps, thumbs up from individuals. I think you could pass a collection plate with what you just shared. And I say, as a son of a Baptist minister, I also have seen the influence that Black queer talent has on music ministry and churches. And so sometimes that can translate right outside of the church house into industry work. You mentioned something very unique. There's a lot of movement on the chat about of heterosexual actors being cast in queer roles. We're starting to see Black queer talent recognized in major ways in the industry. especially in an industry that once worked to conceal the sexual orientation of talent. Artists like Coleman Domingo and Niecy Nash, for example, have received notable recognition. Are these talented individuals the exception, or are you seeing movement toward acceptance of Black queer talent?
I'm seeing movement, but it's not as fast for when it comes to queer talents of color. Now, you see it a lot when it comes to others outside of our culture, but when it comes to queer talents of color, it's like it's like they'll do it and then they'll hold back from what I'm seeing. And it's like, okay, y'all will do some, like, with Billy Porter winning the Emmy, and, of course, RuPaul, who's a legend, and all of his many awards with RuPaul's Drag Race. Okay. And stuff. But there are so many numerous talents within the industry who are out proud and who are talented. And I think there needs to be more done, especially when it comes to not just speaking for the talents, but also speaking for filmmakers, queer filmmakers, Black queer filmmakers, and producers, and other queer businesses that provide services and solutions in the entertainment industry. I think there needs to be more done to have more recognition, especially for filmmakers and producers and stuff. We don't see a lot on a consistent basis. For example, if everybody remember Noah's Ark, legendary show, and how it only lasted, what, 3 seasons?
3 seasons.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And all of
it
the
ended way
other
too soon.
thank you. And all of the other queer-based shows that are non-Black lasted longer. And so I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, how come ours is always short-lived? Even with Pose. Pose was what, 3 seasons? And it's like, and that show was the bomb. And it's like, it could have lasted more, to get more into our stories and into the different variations of our expressions in our community. But once again, it's short-lived. And so I think that's something that we need to work on. Because keep in mind, the shows that we see was not just for the talent, but also for the producers, everybody that works behind the scenes, so everybody within that particular diaspora, had an opportunity. And that was also cut short after 3 seasons. So I think we need to do more work to make sure that there's more continuity on a consistent basis, not just these, spur celebrations and opportunities here and there. It needs to be consistent.
I love that. Yeah, both those shows that you mentioned, that I'm familiar with, and I see in the chat, a lot of people are familiar with both of those shows as well. It seemed as though once you got the true character developed underway and you fell in love with these characters, they, faced abrupt endings, and you're just kind of left with rewatching the previous seasons because you don't want it to end. But I think it's people like yourself that will help us get traction and longevity for those shows. So thank you so much for joining today.
Can I also, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
please.
Can I also give a shout out to Rose? Because Rose, girl,
Yes.
you went in on the chat when you say we also have to show up for our communities to assure longevity.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
Hard. That
Watch those
hard.
shows. Right. Absolutely.
Tune in. If we can't tune in, tape it. If we can't tape it, leave it on that channel, because we don't take into consideration that the longevity is based on viewership.
Absolutely.
So turn it on that channel, make sure they get the credit ratings, and then we can, assure that things will last a little bit longer. But thank you for your words.
Absolutely. And also when it comes to filmmakers, we have to make sure that we pack out the theaters. We have to make sure that we pack out the theaters so that our movies and stuff can reach close to 1 billion or more. You know what I'm saying? We have to also, support them, not just here locally, but also make sure we connect with with the Black queer diaspora globally, to make sure that our movies are actually, have that global reach as well, and make sure that people come out and support. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lance.
No, so important to touch on that as well. Just a reminder, we're nearing the end of the questions for the panelists, the official questions, but please use the chat box to drop any questions that you'd like Rose to ask the panelists when we approach the Q&A session. And so just a question for anyone on the panel. How important has networking and building strong relationships been to the success of your business? And again, that's open to anyone. I feel like I'm gonna have to call on someone. Ty
Sorry. Hi.
Collier, how important? Oh, I'm sorry, was someone
Uh,
speaking? Go ahead,
I
Emmanuel.
was going to, but it's okay.
No, please, Emmanuel. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay. I wouldn't be where I am, and I know I haven't started my business very long ago, and I just got certified. But every opportunity I have had has been because of someone I knew or someone I networked with. Starting in college, my professor Sid Carpenter, who's an amazing Black ceramicist. If you don't know about her, look her up. She is fantastic. She was the one that's like, you should definitely go to art school. I was going to be a doctor. I was pre-med, but I was like conflicted about
Wow.
it. Oh yeah, I was very conflicted. And she's like, you're really good at this. This is something you could be good at. I'm not going to tell you not to be a doctor. Um, but she was like, you could do art school. And so I went to art school. And then through that, I met my friend Rain, who's an LGBTQ person. And she was like, hey, I have a studio in Pittsburgh that I go to. They're amazing. And that studio has been my home studio for the last 6 years. And I'm sorry for the noise. I'm in the middle of
You're
my place.
fine.
But and then that led to meeting the Craft Business Accelerator, which led to the Black Business Group I'm part of, Origins, which led to Women of Visions, which is a Black female artist group in Pittsburgh, which led to the 3RBA and the NGLCC. So most of the orders I've gotten, most of the things that people have gotten wholesale orders from, markets I've been to, have been because I knew somebody who introduced me to somebody who got me that opportunity, who then saw my work and went, oh, you'd be really good for this. You'd be really good for that. And so it's the community, we want to raise each other up. And I've been very lucky to have people who raise me up. And so I know that once my business grows, I want to do that because like I've met with students, younger students who are in their 20s now who are like, I don't know what I'm going to do. There doesn't seem to be a lot of opportunities. And I pull out this giant spreadsheet. I'm like, here is everything. Here's things for queer people. Here's things for
I
Black
love
people.
that.
Here are things for women, because people have taught me. And, if we can't raise each other up, like, what are we doing? So I wouldn't be where I am without that. So yeah,
I love
important.
that.
So
So
important.
not closing the door behind you, but holding it open and guiding people through.
Yeah.
It's so important. Did anyone else want to talk or speak on the importance of networking and building strong relationships and how it's helped your business?
Yeah, I wanted to just echo and just saying how important it is to build your network up, and something that I do with what I've learned from one of my mentors through NGLCC was at the end of every call when you're meeting with someone, asking them who is in your network that my services could help, and just using your network to continue because you never know who they know that might be a good fit. So utilizing your network and all of their connections.
I love that. Okay, so we are at time. I'm going to thank our panelists for answering those questions. You did a phenomenal job, very insightful, and I think you were able to speak to your experiences individually as Black LGBTQ individuals and how those shaped your journey of entrepreneurship. But I want to kick things over to Rose. And Rose, have you received a lot of questions in the chat?
Not as many as I think we should have. However, I do have two that I think are amazing. So, since it wasn't anonymous, I'll share the name. Novella is asking, as a straight, white, older lady, how can I best be an ally? So if maybe one or two of you can jump on that one.
I'll jump in here. So, what I would say, I want to make sure Novella, thank you. What I would share Novella is, stay curious and keep asking questions. I think it's one thing to realize, outside of your personal identity, that you are different, but also look at the similarities of that. I think, if you identify as a woman, then you know that there are differences between women and men, and how that walk of life can be every day, whether it be professionally or personally. But I also would say, like, be a trusted advisor in the rooms where you see there is no diversity, or you see that, there is one kind of myopic way of thinking. Ask the question that everyone might get uncomfortable that you ask. That's how I look at allyship. It's a personal thing. Even if you are unsure, find a safe space and ask those questions, because as you continue to learn and know that it's a spectrum, like things change We add alphabets. We Gen Zers don't even like labels. They like to be who they are. For Monday, and it might change Tuesday. So we kind of all are on this evolution. So I would say that's why I tell you to stay curious as well, so that you can keep up with the times. But again, don't be afraid to recognize your own privilege, and bring others along with you through that.
And Noella, thank you so much for that question. Requires you to be vulnerable to ask that question, and allyship is its own challenge at times, but we appreciate you coming forward with that question and being vulnerable. Thank you so much.
And so I have another one that I think is really great that Zachary asks, what within or outside of the community makes you hopeful?
Ask that. Say that question again. I wanna
So
make that.
what within or outside of the community makes you hopeful?
One of the things that I noticed, and I noticed this during the pandemic, which actually, if that was a silver lining, even though many people were struggling. But when it came to coming together, that was one of the things that I noticed, that when it comes to times of great struggle and tragedy, we know how to come together. And to be honest with you, it was because of that. That's how I was able to even get access, to some people that knew about the chamber and all of that stuff and everything. Because other than that, everybody was still separate. And so I really feel that with the current climate that we're getting ready to face, that we're facing now, but that we're getting ready to face, I think it's going to be more crucial now for us to really band together. And I'm very hopeful about that, and particularly with the next generation, generation Z and Alpha, that because they have a more drive to really, really be about change, but not just this one time. They really are about change on a consistent basis. And social media has been that driving force to make things more and more consistent. And so that's what I'm really hopeful about. And those of us who are actually in our elder age now, I'm excited that we'll be able to share our experiences, our successes and our challenges with that generation to help to keep our legacy going.
Okay, I know I'm hoping I have a little bit more time, so somebody's gonna have to grab me if we don't, because we're getting a bunch of good ones now. So Salim asked, what's the most important value that we all should internalize for Black queer advancement and visibility? I can repeat that. Or should I do like Lance and
Rose,
pick somebody?
can you repeat the question? You might have to call on someone.
Yep. So what's the most important value that we all should internalize for Black queer advancement and visibility? So Ty, can I call on you for that one?
Absolutely. I think really just showing up and being truly authentic and supporting the community is super important. I mean, bringing people along with you and like Roy was mentioning, be curious, ask those questions, be an ally, advocate for the community if you're not a part of it, and do it in spaces that are not just in front of the community, but when you take it home to your peers and your family, be able to influence them. And I would say another thing is the way we vote. I think that's a big thing this year, making sure that you are being supportive at the polls just as much as you are out and about. So I would say, yeah, just keep those values of being supportive and advocating for the community, even if you don't belong to the community, or if you're not, or if you're just an ally.
And if I could, I love to add one, and mine, I always say this, that resilience, I believe, is our superpower. So as queer folks, as Black folks, as multicultural folks, even just as a woman, I believe that that is a superpower that we're gifted with. Because we have to look through these lenses every day, these multiple lenses every day. We have to continue to educate. We have to continue to be outside of the box, and vote and educate and continue again. And so I would just say, like, resilience would be one that I would add to that.
Thank you both. And so Mariah asked, and I'm gonna it's a two-part. So the first part is would love to learn more about how you navigated applying and finding residencies. And then the second part of that is, and how do you overall leverage your certification to expand your clientele?
Let me take, Emmanuel, you want to go for the ladies first?
Thank you. At least for the residencies part. For me, again, University of YouTube and Google, big things. But really, what I actually did to find the residency in Japan, and there are so many all over the world, is I actually I looked at past artists that I knew that were in my field, and I said, do you know of any residencies? Not ones that you've been to, like just any of them. And they gave me lists and lists and lists. Again, people will always want to help. And I found the one in Japan because it was actually a residency that a ton of people hadn't gotten into, but they had heard of. And so I applied to it because I'm like, well, let me apply. These people, they don't know much about it. And I got in. But really, if there's anybody you know, even if it's someone that you admire that is doing what you do, even if someone that you think is way above where you are, like I feel very much like a small fish on this panel, but like people that are way above where you are, message them and be like, you are doing what I love. This is who I am. Do you have any advice for a place I can go, or a residency that you know about, or do you have a residency? Because I found out after I did the residency that several of the artists I learned about in grad school had gone there, and I had no idea. And if I wouldn't have even like made that decision to try, I probably would have been like, oh well, this is too big for me. I'm not here yet. But always reach higher than you think you can get, because who knows, you might get that. And I did. Like, it was a very hard residency to get into. But yeah, just higher than you think you can get, because you're probably way up there. Everybody likes to put themselves down a little bit. You're probably there, so try that. And that's how I found my residency. So.
And I will say, Emmanuel, you are no small fish on this call. I appreciate you. Absolutely.
I also want to continue with that, because she talked about the residency. I want to continue as far as maximizing your LGBTQ certification. I remember seeing that certification after starting my business years ago, and I started seeing that certification on certain businesses here in Atlanta and stuff. And I was curious about, I said, what is this? What is that? And then that's when I started doing my research about the National Chamber. And during this time, this was when the Atlanta-based organization was known formerly the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. It is now statewide now. That's why they became Out Georgia Business Alliance. And when I saw it, I said, oh, this is what this is for. So once I got the certification, it's like the credibility of my organization went through the roof. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something about being certified that not only gives you access to better job opportunities, to better contract opportunities, but just the credibility alone and the respect, the business respect. You know what I'm saying? People begin to take you, not saying that people might not have taken me seriously before, but people in certain circles begin to take you more seriously. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've been around other nonprofits and other organizations that's been in existence for years, but they were never LGBTQ certified and stuff. So having that certification really brings more credibility, and you can also use that as a way to get into certain circles as well. I don't know if anybody's had that experience as well, but I know for me, right before our 20th conceptual anniversary, it's like, you know, it's like a whole new world and stuff for me. You know, just with the credibility alone, just in doing the promos and the advertising, it was just a totally different experience and stuff. So yeah.
Thank you, and happy to open that up to others if there's a story that you'd like to share about how your certification advanced your opportunities.
Yeah, I'll quickly just share for Authentique. So we were an MBE through NMSDC first. And I remember being like, oh, this is enough. I'm good. I got one. And then when I learned about NGLCC, started to look at some events, started to get active locally, it encouraged me to get certified. And then when I got that certification, it was almost like I had found the golden ticket, because a lot of corporations were more interested in me having that one than having my MBE certification. I don't know if that's the spin they were looking for or what, but that kind of turned on the water faucet for us. So that made me say, hey, I'm on to something. I got more involved. I went to conferences. I started to see more things. I started to realize that the summit was more relaxed. I felt like I could be myself. I didn't feel like I had to put on a suit and just do all these things that might be personal to me, but just it just was a smoother place to be, and it felt safer. And so with that, I kept coming back and I got more active, and it's really helped the business. So it's everywhere. It's on my business cards, it's on our website, it's in our signatures, like, because we're proud of it and we want to talk towards it, but it also makes people a little curious and they're like, what's that about? And then whether they are another potential supplier for a brand or even a corporate, they're able to see that with pride. So it's just a great thing to have.
Well, thank you all for sharing. I haven't got the hook yet, so I'm going to ask one more question. And it's a two-parter, because two people asked questions about books. So Valencia asked, what are you reading and what's a recommended read? And then there was another question that someone asked, they have a young child, and what would you recommend for children? I'm assuming with some of the intersectionality, I don't know where the question went. So what are you reading, a recommended reading, and if you know of something that you would suggest for a child to read, assuming in this community, please share that as well.
So I'll just say for the kids book, because I answered it in the chat, I Am Whole by Shola Oz and Pink is for Boys by Rob Perlman are two great books. My niece is 6, and those sparked some amazing conversations. So Lauren, I think that would be great, two great books for you to read with your son. They have amazing illustrations, the diversity of different children pictured. So that might be cool. And then as far as what I am reading right now, I am actually going through James Baldwin and kind of just starting from the beginning, and starting to read journals and more things just as of where I am currently in my life. That is someone that's resonating with me, who's inspiring with me. So anything James Baldwin, I'm in it right now.
So I'm actually a preschool teacher as well. So you said kids books. I was like, yes. Um, Bodies Are Cool is my new favorite book. It's literally just talking about different bodies, and the illustrations are amazing. There are people of all different races, there are people of all different genders, there are stretch marks, there are tall people, there are acne, it's the coolest book, I think the most authentic book about bodies I've seen for kids, and it's adorable. So Bodies Are Cool is fantastic. And if you just want to connect whoever asked that question with me, I have a giant list. And what I'm reading, actually, the book that I read most recently, because I usually listen to a lot of podcasts, but it's called The Girl with All the Gifts. They made a movie of it a few years ago too. And, with the pandemic, it's kind of an interesting choice. It's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi world, but basically the lead character in it is a little Black girl. And she is infected with this, zombie type disease. It's a zombie book, but it's her figuring out her life because the children aren't affected the way the adults are. The children can still think, the children can still act. So it's really looking through the eyes of a child at the end of the world, basically, and seeing like how she's trying to stay herself, but also react to the adults that are still around. It's really interesting. And it's really interesting to have a Black protagonist in like a zombie situation, a Black child. It's really good. I wish I remembered the author's name, but it's called The Girl with All the Gifts. Very good.
Thank you. And I see Alicia, are you my hook?
I'm the hook.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for some great questions, and of course to the panelists for your insights. Thank you.
Yes, if we were live, I would say everybody give everybody a round of applause, but you can do that on the screen. Y'all were absolutely wonderful. So as much as I wish we could continue this conversation during this event, we want you to remember what was said here and to continue the conversation outside this space. We hope you've enjoyed today's NGLCC Communities of Color Initiative programming for Black History Month. Many thanks to our LGBTBE panelists who joined us for the event and your contribution to the LGBTQ plus business community. You all are paving the way for others. You will find their businesses and websites linked in this chat below.
We are so grateful to have shared this space with two upstanding leaders amongst NGLCC's corporate partners. Thank you, Rose Hatcher of Paramount and Lance Dorsey of Sony for joining us as moderators for this program. And as Justin said earlier, their unwavering support for LGBTQ plus owned businesses and diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And of course, thanks to Team NGLCC for their hard work in bringing this program to fruition and dedication to creating spotlights for our incredible LGBT business enterprises, corporate partners, and affiliate chamber leaders every month. But speaking of spotlights, we are happy to share that the spotlights we share that you saw at the beginning of this program were only a snapshot of the content we received for today's program.
The NGLCC will continue this celebration of Black History Month by posting spotlight videos from Black creators and African-American LGBTBEs in the arts and entertainment industry, as well as from our affiliate chambers. Please be sure to follow NGLCC on Instagram and LinkedIn if you aren't already, and continue supporting queer business by engaging with these posts throughout the month.
It has been such a joy to share this space with you and start Black History Month with a special focus on the arts. We hope you continue celebrating Black History Month through supporting Black-owned businesses, especially LGBTQ plus owned businesses. Be on the lookout for more programming for the NGLCC newsletter, for event updates with links to register. So happy Black History Month. Have a great rest of your week.